What's up, Notjust developers? Welcome to a new video, and today we are gonna learn how we can integrate monetization in a React Native application using RevenueCat. I know that a lot of you have asked me to do something related to payments, to monetization, and here we are. So let me firstly introduce you briefly to what we are gonna do today. And we'll start with speaking about in-app subscriptions, what are they, how we can use them to monetize our application. Then we're going to speak about what is RevenueCat and how does RevenueCat help us integrate easily and monitor our in-app subscriptions. Then, because we are a project-based learning channel, we are gonna show you how you can integrate RevenueCat in a real application. So we're gonna start with setting up subscription products on the markets, on Play Market and on Apple Store. Then we're gonna go and install and configure RevenueCat in your application. After which we will build a paywall and render available products so that we can show what options the user has, from where we will implement the buy subscription products. And lastly, we will identify user so we can know if a user has a active subscription and what he's allowed to see in the application. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Vadim and I'm a full stack developer for over 7 years. And here I'm trying to share my experience and my knowledge with you. And we do that in form of project-based learning. So that's what we're gonna do today as well. So if you enjoy this, please consider subscribing to my channel and check out other builds that we have done here already. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So, what is in-app subscriptions? In-app subscriptions are a feature that allows you to monetize your application where user will pay based on a period, for example, month over month or every year. And in this way, you give users extra content or extra features. So basically you're building a freemium model where most of your application is free, but you have some extra features that only pro user can access. Using in-app subscription, the payments usually are automatically billed by the Apple Store or Play Market. And what's important is that with in-app subscription, we cannot integrate a third-party provider such as Stripe or PayPal because this is the rule of App Store and Play Store that they should be handled by that specific store. So if your React Native application is deployed to App Store, then the billing should be managed there. And for all the Android user of the same application, the billing should be managed by Play Store because they also take a small cut of it. And because of that, it's a bit difficult to maintain a do-it-yourself cross-platform subscription solution because with React Native, we usually deploy both to Android and to iOS, and then we have to do a bunch of logic to check whether it's Android and we should manage it on Play Store, or it's iOS and we should manage it on App Store. So here where RevenueCat comes in and saves us a lot of time because they already built all this system for us, and what we should do is just integrate with RevenueCat. And RevenueCat will manage a lot of things for us. The most important thing is that now with RevenueCat, we have only one single source of truth. So we should only check the subscription of a user with RevenueCat, and we shouldn't check it with both iOS and Apple. And RevenueCat on its end will manage the subscription on both Play Store and App Store depending on the platform. And also, RevenueCat has a lot of other tools that improve everything when it comes to in-app subscriptions, such as analytics, a lot of integrations with a lot of services to give you more information about your users. And what's cool about that is that you have all these analytics in one single place in RevenueCat dashboard, and you shouldn't check two different dashboards for iOS and Android. All right, I think that when we start integrating, it will be much more clear, and you'll see how easy it is to manage in-app subscriptions with RevenueCat, and then you can imagine how hard it would be to do it yourself without using RevenueCat. So let's get started. If you want to follow along this build, you would need a React Native app deployed to Play Market and App Store if you want to integrate RevenueCat in your own application. However, if you want to follow along what I am doing, you can download the Magic Weather sample app that we're gonna use in this video, and in which we will integrate RevenueCat. And you can download the Magic Weather sample app from assets.notjust.dev/RevenueCat. And the first step is to actually create a new application in RevenueCat dashboard. So for that, we're gonna open this URL. And here we're gonna select a name for our application and a bundle ID, which is the bundle ID of your application. Let's do the same bundle ID for the Google Play package. And for the iTunes Connect app specific share secret, let's press on this this information dot, and here it shows you a couple of steps that we need to follow to create an app specific shared secret. So let's open the App Store Connect. Let's go to My Apps and open up the application that we want to integrate with, which is Magic Weather here. And on the left side, under in-app purchases, we can see the Manage tab. Let's open that page. And here we will be able to access the app-specific shared secrets, which is on the right side here. So let's open this one and generate, or in my case, I will regenerate a new shared secret. So let's copy this this token and paste it in here in this field. Make sure it doesn't have anything extra. For the service account credentials, we're gonna come back a bit later. Let's press add. And here we have our new application created in RevenueCat. The next step is to prepare the application on Play Market, and for that we need to create a Play Service credential. And to do that, we will open this documentation here. And because I already have done that, I cannot repeat it. So please follow this guide to link to a Google developer project. Then you will create there a service account. This documentation is really in depth, and it's step by step what you have to do to create this service account. So at the end, you will download here a JSON file, and we will open that file in a text editor. So we copy everything from here. We go back to our application on RevenueCat, and in the settings page, in the Play Store configuration, we need to paste in everything that we copied from the JSON file. So we press update. And that's it with the service account credential. The next step is to start configuring the products that we will need to display in the application. So for that, let's open the Play console. And in the left sidebar, we scroll down to monetize. And here we see products and we see the subscriptions. So here in the subscriptions, let's press on the create a new subscription. And here we need to provide a product ID. And this product ID is very important because with this product ID, we will be able to link this subscription with a subscription on RevenueCat. And when you create a product ID, they are global on your account. So you'll not be able to use the same name in our application on your account. So the rule of thumb is to have a prefix with application name for the product ID. Let's say RevenueCat sample app, or just RevenueCat for now. Then we have a price, let's say $4.99. And then the period, is it monthly or yearly? So this one will be monthly. Let's do M. Yeah, that's okay for now. For the name, let's say this is the name that is going to be displayed to the user. So let's say, yeah, let's say Pro. The description will be Pro Access. Let's select a billing period of monthly, and the default price here, we choose the price that we want this subscription to be, and this price will be translated to our currencies automatically. So we apply the prices. For the monthly, we probably don't want a free trial, so we disable that. And that's it. Let's save and create a new, yeah, let's also activate it because it's not active yet. Let's go back to the subscription and create one more for a yearly subscription. Yeah. And the yearly subscription, let's say that is going to cost, I don't know, $24.00. And it's going to be yearly. Let's fill in the name and description that the user will see. Billing period will be yearly here, and the price will be, I don't know, 100. For the free trial, let's enable the free trial, and let's have a 30 days free trial. Or let's do 7 days. Usually that's how it works. Yeah, that's it. Let's save and activate this subscription. And yeah, that's it when it comes to Google Play Console. And now we have to create a one-on-one mapping between the products on Google Play and the products on RevenueCat. So let's open RevenueCat. And here under products, let's create a new product. And the identifier is the one that we created here. So let's start with the monthly one. No, it's here, right? It's this one that we're working with. Select store, and this is going to be the Play Store. Let's add. And let's do one more for the yearly. And select the Play Store. And this way, we created this mapping of the products that we will manage in RevenueCat with the products that we will manage in Play Store. So that's it with configuring the Play Store. Now let's move to the Apple Store. And the first thing that we should make sure is that our paid application agreement is signed. So if we go to the App Store Connect website, and yeah, let me show you where you can find. Here on the top, there is the agreement. Let's open the agreements page. And here you need to sign this paid applications agreement. And also very important, make sure that you complete the tax information, because I didn't, and I spent a couple of good hours understanding why I didn't receive a product in my application. So make sure that it's active, and you provide all the information that is needed there. And now it's time to create the actual products in the App Store Connect, the same way as we did in Google Play Store. So let's go to our application. And then under the in-app purchases here, we go to the Manage. And here we can create a new in-app purchase. And from this list, we will select the auto-renewable subscription. So if you don't see this option, also make sure that you sign the paid agreement. Let's click create, and here reference name, we can say pro, and this is this is the name that the user will see. For the product ID, let's follow the same pattern as we did with Google Play Store. 4.99 and here monthly. Let's select next. We need to add this in-app purchase to a subscription group. So in this situation, if you don't have any subscription group, let's create one and give the subscription group a reference name. Now, after the subscription has been created, we can choose here the duration of 1 month. We can select now the prices. And here, we choose in euro, and the price will be 4.99. And now the prices has been converted to all the currencies, so we can also change them if you want. So let's press create. And we see that the subscription price has been created. Let's press OK. And let's save the subscription pricing for this offer. That's it with the first subscription group. Let's now create the second one, which will be again renewable subscription. Let's create it. Reference name pro yearly, and product ID will be RC. How's it? 2400 and yearly. Next, let's add it to the same subscription group as the previous one. So it was pro. The subscription groups will make sure that a user will have only one product in the same group. So he cannot subscribe to the monthly and yearly. And whenever he will want to upgrade to the yearly, his monthly will automatically be removed. And let's select the subscription duration, which will be 1 year. Let's save. And for the prices, let's choose the price. Where is it? 24. Yeah, it's 24.99. Okay, that's good for us. And let's create these prices. Let's now save the subscription prices and then go to the introductory offers to set up the free trial of a user. So let's go here. Let's create a new introductory offer for all the countries. And for the start date, let's choose today's date, which is 6. And for the end date, let's select no end date because we want it to be indefinitely. Select a paid or free introductory offer. We want a free introductory offer of 1 week, and this will create a 1 week free trial for our subscription product. Let's again save the offer, and after that we can go back to RevenueCat dashboard and create the mapping of the products here. So the first one was the monthly one, and we will select the App Store. Let's add, and the same we will do for the yearly, and let's select App Store again. Let's add, and that's it with the products on RevenueCat. There is one more thing. If we go to the settings, we need to provide a subscription key file so that the RevenueCat can get information about the subscription on App Store. So to do that, let's go back to App Store Connect. And on top, we go to Users and Access. And here we check the Keys tab. And for the subscription, we generate a new subscription key. So the name will be, subscription key. Generate. And this will, here we can download the API key. Let's download it. And we can drag this file yeah, here. Yeah, we uploaded the subscription key from App Store. Let's update. Yeah, file saved. And that's it with configuration on both Play Store for Android devices and on App Store for the iOS devices. Now let's speak more about how RevenueCat manages everything into products, entitlement, and offerings, and how these are helping us to manage easier the subscriptions. So let's start with products because we have already created the products on RevenueCat, and these products are one-to-one mapping between RevenueCat and the Google Play Store or the App Store products that we create there. So these are the individual units that the user will actually end up buying. The next level are entitlements, and RevenueCat introduced entitlements to make things easier for us developers. And let's think about entitlements as a gateway to some features. So for example, we can have a gold entitlement, a gold plan, which gives the user access to a set amount of features. So whenever you want to open that gate to those features, you will check if a user has the gold entitlement, and that's it. You don't care about the packages, like if he has an Apple package, if he has a Google package or a Stripe package. You just care about this entitlement, if he's entitled to use the features. And let's say that there is also a plan called Platinum, which gives user access to even more features. So in that case, you will check if the user has this platinum entitlement. And under these entitlements, we put products that we have created already. And they can be, let's say, the gold monthly with a gold annual, gold on the App Store and also on the Play Store. So we know that it doesn't matter which plan the user chose, the monthly, the annual, on App Store or on Google Play, he's entitled to the gold features that the app provides. The next grouping is packages and offerings. And packages are the groups of equivalent level on different stores. So we group the monthly with a monthly from App Store and Google Store, annual with annual, and so on. And then we use these packages to create different offerings. And the offerings is what we actually show to the end user on the paywall. And by doing this, we can play around with what we offer to the user, different packages, and see how they convert better. And everything is without ever updating the actual code of our application. So we implement the logic once in our code, and then from the RevenueCat dashboard, we can play around and have, for example, a screen that includes the monthly, annual, and platinum, and then another screen that includes only the annual and platinum. And then we can switch between these two offerings and see which one converts better. So I hope the theory about products, entitlement, and offerings is clear. Let's now get our hands dirty and implement them, and probably it will make more sense when we do so. So let's go to the RevenueCat dashboard. And first of all, go to the products, and we see that we have already created all the products that we will need. Let's go and create the entitlement that we will need. And our entitlement will be called Pro. Let's have a description: Pro access to all features. And for simplicity reason, we're gonna go with only one entitlement, the Pro one. So we can go in the offerings. Let's create a new offerings. It's gonna be the default one. Yeah. Let's go with a standard set of features, and let's add it. And we see that we don't have any packages yet in this In this offering, let's create add packages, and let's add a new package. Identifier will be monthly. No, yeah, monthly. Let's add, and we need to add the products in this package. Let's attach some products here. For the monthly, on the App Store we have this monthly, on the Play Store we have this monthly, and we don't have any Stripe products. Okay, let's create, and then let's go back to our packages, and let's add one more package, which will be the yearly, if we have annual. Yeah, let's add it and assign the products to this package that are yearly. Attach. Let's also make sure that we attach products to entitlements, and let's go back to the entitlements, and here we see that the Pro entitlement has 0 products right now, and we would like to add all the products that we have added to this entitlement, because it doesn't matter which exact product the user chooses. We want to give him pro access to our application. So yeah, that's why we will add all our entitlements here, all our products in this entitlement. Okay, once that's done, that's it with, yeah, if we refresh here, we should see here that it's part of one entitlement. Yeah, it's part of one entitlement. That's good. That's it with configuring all the entitlements, products, and offerings on RevenueCat. If you want more information, you can access this URL, and here you can read more about what the products, entitlements, and offerings are. Alright guys, so after configuring everything in RevenueCat dashboard, in Play Store and in Apple Store, now it's time to start coding and to actually implement, configure, install, set up RevenueCat in a React Native application. So for that, we are gonna start by downloading the starter project that we're gonna use in today's video to integrate with RevenueCat. So if you want to follow along, get the project from ss.notjust.dev/RevenueCat. And then we're gonna follow all the instructions to install the dependencies and to get this project started. Let's open the assets that we have downloaded and unzip the Magic Weather React Native and open it in our editor of choice. And now let's open the terminal and install the dependencies of the application. After all the JavaScript dependencies has been installed, let's install also the iOS native dependencies using npx pod install, and that's only if you are building for iOS. Alright, so the dependencies has been installed. Let's run the development server with yarn start or npm start, depending on what you're using. And let's open another terminal and run our application on either Android or iOS. It will work on both of them. So in my case, I will do it on Android this time. So I'm running yarn Android, and it should open the emulator and run it here. All right, so the application has finished building, and we can see here it's running on my Android emulator. Let's close the warnings and have a look at what the application currently does. So initially it will display a random temperature and a random weather. Based on this temperature, it will display a different icon, and we can press on the change weather. That will magically change the weather to a better one, or yeah, depending, it's randomly changing the weather. So yeah, the application is pretty simple. That's the only functionality of it. We also have another tab for the user, where we will be able to display information about the user once we integrate with RevenueCat. And now the idea is that, okay, we have build this awesome application, we deployed it to user, everyone is loving it, and we think that, okay, it's nice, but we would like to monetize this application. And we want to do that by allowing only the pro users, the user that will pay a subscription, to be able to change the weather. So everyone will open the app, will see a weather, and that's it, but the pro user will be able to press this button. So how to do that? Let's get into RevenueCat and install it and configure everything. Okay, so we need to install the package, and the package name for RevenueCat is called react-native-purcahses. And then we'll install the pods, we'll configure Android permission to use billing, and also we'll enable in-app purchases for iOS project. Okay, let's get started, and I'm gonna run yarn add react native purchases, and this will install this library. Once that's done, we can install the pods as well. And after that, we can go and set up permission for both Android and iOS project. For Android, I'm gonna open the Android folder, application, source, main, and Android manifest. And I'm gonna grab the users permission line for the billing. And I'm gonna paste it before the application here. And for iOS, we need to open the project in Xcode, and then from project target and capabilities, enable in-app purchases. So let's open our iOS folder from the project root in Xcode. So I'm gonna select iOS and open it in Xcode. And from the project navigator tab, we're gonna select the Magic Weather React Native. And from signing and capabilities, we're gonna make sure that we have the in-app purchases added here. And if it's not here, we're gonna press on the plus capability, and we're gonna search in-app purchase. So we're gonna select this one. And once it's here, we save a project and we close Xcode because we're not gonna need it anymore. So that's it with installing purchases. The next step is to actually configure purchases in our React Native application. And to do that, we're gonna call the purchases.setup using our public SDK key. And we need to call this as soon as our application launches. So to do that, let's open back our project. And I'm gonna open the app.js because that's the entry point of our application. And here we can configure the React Native purchases once the application loads. So I'm gonna import purchases from React Native purchases. And also I'm gonna import the use effect hook in order to be able to call this function only when the component mounts. And to do that, I'm gonna register a use effect on our application. I'm gonna pass here a function, and I'm gonna send an empty array as the dependency of use effect to make sure that this use effect will be called only once when the application launches. Inside this use effect, let's call purchases.setDebugLogs enable in order to enable the logs to be able to see and understand like if we have any problems while developing. And then we will what's going on here? We will set up the purchases, because using the public SDK key. And the public SDK key we will import from source constants. We have it here, constants index, and we have here the API key. So let's first of all import it in our app.js. Import from source constants, and that's it. And we will import the API key. Let's send the API key to Okay, not like that. API key to our setup. And then let's go back to our source constants index, and we need to set the API key from RevenueCat dashboard. So back in the RevenueCat dashboard, in the settings page, we will copy the RevenueCat API from here, and let's paste it in for our API key. And now we can comment out this line. That was just not to forget to change this. And also we need to set the entitlement ID with the entitlement ID that we set up in RevenueCat dashboard. So in my case, it's Pro, and here is also Pro. So I'm gonna comment out this console as well. And now let's run it again on our device. Yarn Android. And after our application has been built, yeah, let's see, we don't have any issues, any errors. And if we look at the console logs, we also don't see any issues. So we can assume that we have configured correctly RevenueCat, and we can move to the next step. And the next step is to display available products in our application. Here we can see a quick snippet of how we can get the current offerings from RevenueCat is by calling the purchases.getOfferings, and then we will be able to get all the information about them and to display it in our screen. So let's have a look at our code and see where we can integrate that. If we go to source screens, then we will see a paywall screen. Here is the paywall screen, and we already have some simple design of a paywall screen with that will display the list of products. So let's try to render this paywall screen now in our application. So let's go to navigation, router, and let's move the paywall screen before the home. So that's in order to display it first. So I'm gonna save it, and I will refresh the application because it needs a refresh. Okay, here is the paywall screen. We have a warning here. Where is it? Index. And here is the warning. It's meant to be like this because we need to modify this value if we this text in order to comply with the privacy policy of Apple. So for more details, check out this blog post. It explains pretty much in detail what you need to have in this text. So yeah, this is the header that displays the Magic Waiver Premium. This is the footer, which will display the terms and services and privacy policy. And in between, we should display the packages. And because currently we don't have any package, that's why we don't see anything. So our task is to fetch all the packages from RevenueCat and set them in our state here in order to display them. Okay, so to do that, we're gonna use a use effect that is gonna be run when the component mounts. Inside this use effect, let's declare a function get packages, which will be an asynchronous function. That's why we need a separate function. We cannot call it directly. And then let's just call this get packages. Okay, inside the get packages, we're gonna use this snippet of code that will call the purchases get offerings. So first of all, let's console log the offerings dot current. and see what data we receive here. In case of an error, let's just console log it. And also, I see that I forgot to import the purchases. So let's do that here. Import from React Native purchases. Yeah, let's save. Let's open our debugger, and we see that we apparently have an error. And the error says that the device or user is not allowed to make purchases. And this is quite a common error on Android emulators. And I wanted to show you specifically this error in order for you to be able to solve it if you have it. So in my case, the issue is that my emulator doesn't have Play Market installed. So if I go to Android Studio, to the Android Virtual Device Manager, the AVD Manager, then I see that my Pixel doesn't have Play Store installed. So yeah, I'm gonna close my emulator, the Pixel emulator, and I'm gonna open the Oreo. And if you don't have any emulators with Play Store, then create one that has. So let's start the Oreo emulator, and let's close our Android Studio because we don't need it anymore. One more thing that we forgot is to enable the internet permission for Android. So let's go to Android, app source main, Android manifest. And here, besides billing, we will also enable the internet. Let's save, and let's try to rebuild our project on the new emulator that has the Play Market. And also make sure that you are logged into this Play Market. That also might be an issue. So yeah, our application has run. We see another issue. That error is because we are calling the purchases get offerings before purchases setup finishes execution. And in this case, I'll just reload the application and expect it to work. Because later on, that's not going to be an issue, because we are going to call the get offerings from our paywall screen only after pressing a button and redirecting the user to get to the paywall. So at that point in time, the setup will finish execution and the purchases will be available. So now let's have a look at our logs. And yeah, let's first of all, reload. And after reloading, we see here our current offerings, which is here. And available packages, we see two packages. One with identifier RC monthly, and the other one with RC annual. These packages also contain a product, which contain description, the currency, the price, for example here, also the price as a string that has also the currency symbol, title, and so on. So that's actually what we need. And we can access them by calling, let's have a look here. Yeah, instead of console logging it, we are gonna set it in our state. Set packages will be offerings dot current dot available packages. Let's save now, and that's it. That's how you query the offerings, and now we are displaying it in our application, the monthly version and the yearly version. And if you are wondering what is behind this component, we can scroll down here in the flat list where we have a render item. We are rendering a package item, so we can open this this component and have a look here how we display it with with a view for the title and the description of the package, and also the price string. Okay, that's it regarding the paywall and displaying the available packages in our application. Here there are some extra steps in order to debug if you're having problems or if you do not receive offerings and products. And for example, the most common reason for this in App Store Connect is an out-of-date or an unsigned paid application agreement. And also your products need to be in the ready to submit state. But make sure to do that. On Android, this usually occurs when the app is not published on a closed track and the valid test user is added to that track. So yeah, make sure to do that before testing it on the emulators, and you can find more information on this URL. Okay, we can move forward with the next step, and the next step will be to actually make a purchase. And here we see a snippet of a code how we can do that. And the code is pretty easy and intuitive. We just call the purchases.purchasePackage and send a package object to that method. And that's it. The rest is taken care by the RevenueCat. And we just need to check if we actually have that entitlement assigned to our user. And if we do, we unlock all the great pro content in our application. So let's actually implement this in our application. So where we will do that, we will implement it in the package item. So let me close everything. So I can show you. So let's go into the source components package item, and this is the component that I was talking about that displays one package item here in our flat list. And here we have the whole item is inside the pressable, and when we press, we call this method on selection. All right, let's implement the actual logic. So we are gonna call the purchases.purchasePackage and send there the package that we are displaying. This method will return us an object, and from that object we are interested only in the field called purchaser info, and this will be the information about the user that is purchasing. So after we do the purchase, RevenueCat will assign an entitlement ID to our user, so we can check if we have an entitlement ID that we actually need, and open the pro features to this user. And we're gonna test that by checking the type of the purchaser info dot entitlements, and we'll check the active entitlement, and we'll check if this active entitlement contains the entitlement ID, which we import from constants. So if this entitlement ID is not undefined, then we can console log user is pro. Okay, let's save and let's check if how many mistakes we have done. So let's press on the first package. Let's wait. That's another common issue that you can face during integrating RevenueCat, and that mostly has to do with settings, with test accounts, and specifically with testing this in the debug mode. Android Studio actually recommends to test the payment integration on a real device, not on an emulator. But I have managed to make it work on emulator as well. So to solve that problem, what I did is, first of all, in Google Play Console, in the All Apps, let's go to Settings, and here we have License Testing. And these are the testers that will be able to test in-app billing integration. So make sure to add the email address that you are signing in the Google account on your emulator. Add it here, so it will be under license testers. After that, let's go to all apps, and let's open our application, and let's go to the closed testing. Make sure that the application is released in the closed testing and is reviewed. And then let's press on the manage track, and let's make sure to add the same address to the testers here. So I have here that email list with testers, and I have my email here. But the issue was that even though I have added this email to the testers, I have to do one more extra step in order to join the testing program. So you can join it on Android by following this link, or join it on web by opening up this link. So that was the last step I had to do in order to make it working. So press on become a tester, and then you will join the testing program. So right now, if we press on a product, now we are able to see the product, and also we see that we are using a test card, and it will always approve. So if we click subscribe, payment successful, required authentication, and we are redirected back, and we see that the user is pro, which means that we have successfully purchased a subscription. And in that case, instead of saying that the user is pro, probably we will redirect back the user where he's coming from. So in that case, I will do a couple of changes. I will go to the navigation router, and I'll put the first screen as the home. Here, I'll put it back for the home, and that will also fix the issue that we had with the setup not being finished execution before we access the paywall. And also in this screen, when we press change the weather, I will redirect to the paywall directly. So let's go to the screens, weather screen, index. And here in the perform magic, that's the function that we call on this button, I will do navigation.navigate paywall. Let's save now. And now if I press on the change weather, I'm redirected to the paywall. And now we will not see that issue as well. So with that being said, we can go back to our components package item index, and instead of console logging, we will do navigation.go back, and that will go back to the place where we're coming from. I think that makes sense. Or you can you can navigate the user to a new screen where you'll say like, congratulations, you are a pro member, here is your perks, and so on. Also, it's a good practice to wrap everything into a try catch block, because we are doing network request here, so a lot of things might go wrong. So to prevent the application from crashing. We can catch the error, and we can also check if the error is not because user cancelled. Then we can alert this error so that we know what's the issue. Okay, let's try it again. So let's try to buy it, the same package again. You have already subscribed to this item. Okay. Let's try to buy the yearly. Okay, we can subscribe. And after we are subscribed, we should be redirected back. Yes, we have automatically been redirected back, which is exactly what we wanted to do. So that's it with buying a package. It was pretty easy in the code. You just have to call like purchase package. And the most things has to do with configuring, with making sure that we set up everything correctly on the market with all the permissions, test users, and so on. We can move forward, and the next step will be getting the subscription status. And this is specifically for the case when we press the button. So when we will press the change waiver button, we will first need to understand if the user is a pro member. Then we will allow him to magically change the waiver. And if he's not a pro member, we will redirect him to the paywall. So to check the subscription status, we will use the function getPurchaserInfo. And the if statement is basically the same as we had in our when we bought the package. So if purchaser info entitlements active has the entitlement ID, then we know that the user is a pro user. So let's do that in our waiver screen index, and we'll do that here in perform magic. So let's get the purchaser info from get purchaser info. Let's check the type of the subscription. Entitlement ID. If it's different than undefined, that means that we are a pro user. So if in case we are a pro user is pro, then we will allow him to set the waiver data. So let's copy this from here and add it there. And otherwise, the user is not pro, so we will navigate to the paywall. All right, let's test it out. So let's open our application and change the waiver. So we see that the waiver is changing without redirecting to the paywall because we are a pro user. In order to test the case when the user doesn't have a subscription, we can go to the RevenueCat dashboard. In the overview, make sure that you are viewing the sandbox data because we are working still with test data. And here we will see a new user that was added 7 minutes ago. So let's open this and delete the user. And yeah, let's write confirm. All right, so let's refresh our application and try now changing the waiver. Let's press on change the waiver, and we are automatically redirected to the paywall. So from here we can subscribe, and we see that we have already subscribed to this item because behind the scenes our subscription is also saved in the Play Store, so they know that we have this subscription there. It's only not tracked by RevenueCat. And later on, I'm gonna show you how you can restore the transactions in RevenueCat automatically for specifically these cases when for example, the user changes devices, or some data is lost, so he should restore the transactions. And the next step is actually about restoring purchases. To do that, we will call purchases.restore transactions, and that will make sure that it will sync the subscription from the Play Store or from the App Store with the users and subscription in the RevenueCat. So let's open our code, open our application, and if we go to the user tab, here on the bottom we have a restore purchases button. Let's implement the logic behind this button, and we can do that by going to source, components, restore purchases button, index. So here we need to call the purchases restore transaction. So I'm lazy and I'm gonna copy this code. And we need to also import purchases from React Native purchases. Message. Okay, let's save. And let's, first of all, let's have a look again in the customers in RevenueCat. Let's have a look at the recent transactions. We don't have any recent transactions here relevant to our application. And after we press the restore purchases and come here, check the sandbox data, we see again the same transactions that we had before deleting them. So that means that if I go back to the weather tab and try to change the weather, now we see that we have our subscription back. So that's how you restore transactions for an account. The next step is to identify the user and also to show the user identifier, to show the subscription status, and to allow the user to log in our application. This is the identifying users. Okay, let's have a look how we can implement that. So here in our user screen, we have a state variable for our user ID, and also a subscription active boolean, and also is anonymous, that will indicate if the user has signed up or he has an anonymous ID by default. Let's implement a function get user data. And get all the information about the fields that we need from purchases. So the first one is we need to set is anonymous, and the value we can get by calling purchases dot is anonymous, the same function name. That will indicate if we are anonymous or not. The next step is to get the user ID. So set user ID will be as well await purchases dot get up user ID, and let's not forget to call the function. And regarding the subscription active, we will do similar to what we already done in the paywall screen. So let's query the purchaser info. Get purchaser info, and we can set subscription active to the by checking if purchaser info dot entitlement dot active has a entitlement ID that we set up, and if that's not if that's not undefined, then we have an active subscription. Let's check our code and let's open our application. Yeah, let's refresh it. And right now, nothing will happen. We don't show anything because we forgot to actually call the get user data. So when do we want to get the user data? Whenever this component mounts. So for that, we're gonna use a use effect hook with empty array as a parameter. So get user data, save, and yeah, let's save it. And we can see that the current user identifier is an anonymous ID, and by default, RevenueCat will assign an anonymous ID to the user until we specify a user ID by ourselves. So if you have login or a sign up functionality in your application, which I expect you do, then you have an ID for each users. So we will be able to assign a specific ID that we want, that we can map to a user in our database with a user in RevenueCat. But until we do so, RevenueCat will give it an anonymous ID, which we can see here. The next step is that we see that the subscription status is active. And because we have an anonymous user, we are displaying a fake login form that we will simulate a login flow in your application that you might have. So let's have a look at our login form in the components and in the index. Here we have a text input, and whenever we end editing, we will call the login function. So yeah, this function in your application will probably call your backend, will make sure to register a new session, to send tokens, and so on. But in our case, we'll keep it simple. And yeah, after you make sure that you log in with your backend, then we will identify the user with his specific ID. So to do that, we can call the await purchases.identify and passing in the user ID. So yeah, let's do that. In the login, let's import purchases. And the user ID in our case will be the value of our text input, which is new user ID. Yeah, let's save. Let's open our application. And yeah, this is also an important thing. RevenueCat suggests not to use IDs as public facing, like usernames or emails and stuff like that. Yeah, the IDs should be non-guessable and non-public for security reason. So let's try to enter an app user ID. Yeah, our form new is not the best, but yeah, that's only for testing purposes. Okay, new ID, and let's do enter. And now let's refresh the page, because we update the user information only when we refresh the page. So current user ID is new ID, and the subscription status is still active. So yeah, we didn't lose the subscription status, but we have a new user ID that we can map with our backend. And now we have a logout button. So in case we want to log out, we can call just purchases.reset. Let's implement that in our application. And we go to components, logout button, index. And here, yeah, let's do the purchases dot reset. Let's save. And yeah, let's press on this logout button. We press on this, but nothing happens. We need to refresh our application. So let me try to refresh. And if we go to user, now we have a new anonymous ID. And also an important note here is that whenever we do reset, RevenueCat will assign us a new user ID. So if we go to our charts, this anonymous ID will be tracked as a new user. So you'll see active subscription 2 when in case it's only 1. So yeah, that's just for you to be aware of that. The next step is to make sure that we get these updates about like logging out as soon as possible. So for that, we will listen for purchaser info updates. And to register this event listener, we will call purchases add purchaser info update listener. And in that case, we will just call the function to get the new data that the user has. So let's go in our user screen here and register this event listener in a use effect that is also going to be called when the component mounts. And as the function, as the event listener, we will set the get user data. Also, let's make sure that we remove this listener whenever we close this component. And to do that, we'll return a function. That will call purchase.remove purchaser info update listener. What a long name. And the last step is to also send this get user data function to our login and logout button, because the login form has a function on login that is going to be called every time we successfully log in. So in that case, we want also to update the user data, and on logout the same. Yeah, and now we see that our application will work a bit better, and whenever we press logout, our information is updated instantly without needing an update. All right, so congratulations. You have now implemented a fully featured subscription purchasing system without the need of spending like months of your time implementing this server-side code, without handling all the edge cases that RevenueCat has already thought of, and they're managing everything for you. So yeah, this is it for today, guys. The next steps for you, if you have any issues with following along, then I would suggest you download the finished sample application. And you can find that on the RevenueCat repository for the React Native purchases. And then you go to the examples magic weather, and there you will find the finished product with all the code that we have already done today, and also more documentation and more edge cases and so on. Also, I would recommend you to check out the RevenueCat documentation. They have very good documentation and it's quite easy to follow along step by step what you need to do, what you need to set up, and so on. If you have any issues, first of all, try to see if you can find the problem on the help center by accessing support.revenuecat.com. Because with this purchasing, most of the time you have quite the same issues. So it's either you don't see the products, and in that case, make sure to configure it correctly, or you cannot buy it, and the same thing, like most probably it's something with the configuration, because the code is pretty straightforward. Like, I don't think you can mess up in the code part. In configuration, yeah, I agree, there is a lot of room for issues there, but yeah, with a bit of patience, you can do it. And the last step, if you still have issues and couldn't fix it, ask for help in our Not Just Development Discord that you can access by following this link. That's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching till the end, and I hope that this video is valuable to you and will help you integrate the subscription in your next application, and also will help you make money. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to my channel, because I'm gonna publish more videos of this type in future. And as always, take care, stay hydrated, and write clean code.